Is Tamara here?
No, Tamara's not home. And I swear to God, if you knock on my door at 4 a.m. again and ask me that question, I'm gonna go out into my garage and I'm gonna get a flamethrower and I'm gonna 14 fists of McCluskey style burn you alive where you stand. Why are you crying? Oh, that's right, my daughter. Her name is Tamara. She's upstairs. Welcome to the Best of the Bad Guys, where we rank the best of cinema's worst villains, from their best kills, to their best jump scares, to their French kissing abilities. What? And today we're talking about The Strangers, a trio of mysterious and sadistic murderers who play with their food, toy with, torture, and eventually murder their victims for apparently no reason whatsoever.
I don't really believe in motive, Sid. I mean, did Norman Bates have a motive? No.
Now, at the time of this writing, there are only 2 films worth of The Strangers' awful antics, but there's an entire trilogy on the way, starting with Rennie Harlin's The Strangers Part 1 this May. Would you like to go lay by the bay? Maybe have some hay? The original film was released in 2008 by writer-director Brian Bertino, who based the screenplay on both the Manson family murders and some B&Es that happened in his neighborhood when he was a kid. All that was good enough to give the film one of those based on true events cards that makes you feel all strange inside, like you just stole a Whitney Houston CD from Walmart and got away with it. The first film starred Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman as a couple who just can't decide what they want.
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
They return to their cabin in the middle of the night only to be terrorized by 3 strangers with masks. 10 years later, the sequel, The Strangers Prey at Night, blessed us with the same kind of dark trappings, only this time backed by a great soundtrack of ironic scoring like Total Eclipse of the Heart and Kids in America by Kim Wilde, as the trio slashes through a lovely family of 4 at a remote campground. Personally, I'm a fan of both movies, and I find the first film to be a mean but necessary home invasion flick that makes all horror movies around it better by being as mean as possible. And what I mean by that is, by The Strangers being so cruel and hopeless in its ending, it makes you just that much more nervous for the next few horror films you watch that may just do the same. Unless you're watching a Conjuring spinoff or a recent Blumhouse film, we all know there's nothing gnarly happening there. While the second movie has a little bit more fun with itself, especially in the ending, which we'll get to later, it was fun to see a movie and kind of genius to see a movie that took such a serious concept and put it under the lens of traditional slasher fare and just had a little bit of fun with it while maintaining its teeth. I feel like both films have their own place in the world in their own special ways. So, with that being said, let's get started ranking these potato sack wearing buttholes. We mentioned the Conjuring universe earlier, so let's get started there with The Stranger's best jump scare. There is a metric buttload of jump scares throughout the first 2 movies, but many of them are done in a far more subtle fashion than what we're used to in today's paranormal heavy film landscape. This came down to 2 specific moments for me, and the runner-up is going to be this moment in The Strangers Prey at Night.
But we've just started.
As Bailey Madison's character Kinsey tries to take refuge in one of those pumpkin patch type playground tunnels for easily pleased children, Michael Myers shows up and helps her murder her friend before weirdly gyrating all over the place. Oh, that's the wrong movie. Potato Sack Man then drives his pickup truck to the opening, prompting her to try to scream it away before realizing one of those wily fucks are in the tunnel with her. This was an amazingly done jump scare, but it doesn't take the cake today solely because the big dummies at the studio included it in the main trailer for the film, totally spoiling it. However, I forgot that upon my most recent rewatch and can confirm its potency. I'm going to give the main award here today for the closet jump scare in the original film. Liv Tyler hides in the closet in what should be one of the most by-the-numbers horror movie trope moments, but is really elevated by some nice camera work and tension. All the focus here is on Potato Sack Head, and you're still staring into that part of the screen that he disappeared at when suddenly Dingus number 2 comes out of the left side of the screen and scares the bejesus out of you. I love it. Now, this isn't a jump scare, but I feel the need to mention that the creepiest moment in both films has got to be this scene, also from the original, when he first appears behind her in the living room. It's a beautifully lit and framed shot where he just stands there and watches her without her knowing whatsoever. It's just so invasive. Speaking of invasive, how about The Stranger's best kill scene? Now, I'm going to have my opinion on it in a moment, but for now, why don't we ask our friend, old potato sack mask wearing man himself, and star movies like the Wrong Turn reboot, Haunt, of course Strangers Prey at Night, as well as a bevy of upcoming horror films, the man in the mask himself, Damien Maffei.
My favorite kill in The Strangers Prey at Night, really my favorite scene, is when I get into the car with Pops, Mike. Sit down in the van with him, and he's mewling. He's pinned to the seat. That plank of wood came through the window there. And when I first read that scene, when I got to it in the script, that scene, that one stopped me there, because I felt like this is the one. This is the whole reason to do the movie, because this is be able to take my time with this. It's really the one scene, kind of slow down, do it at my own pace, kind of set the pace for the scene, and just play around with it, and really kind of make something kind of harrowing, kind of menacing, and it really played out pretty much exactly as it did in my head. It played out really well in my head, and I think that we nailed that one. I think that was a good one. And that was that was one where I just kind of stuck with them instead, and kind of maintained eye contact, and the music in there. It was pretty great. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite scene of the movie. I like that one. Enjoyed doing it. Enjoyed doing multiple takes of it. Martin screaming the whole time. Trying to maintain that panic and fear. It's good stuff. Anyway, there you go. Oh, and I'm Damien Maffei, by the way. I don't know if I should have let off saying that, but I didn't, so.
Thanks, Damien. And for the record, I really wish we could have gotten that alternate ending where his character was still alive and burst into the hospital room all burnt up to a potato crisp. And then also, I would have liked to seen the follow-up sequel that just went full supernatural slasher with no explanation of why. But maybe that's just me. But anyway, for my personal kill of the franchise, I want to say the pool scene, but I can't, because he didn't die. Now, did he?
Did he die?
More on that later, but my instincts tell me to go with the same scene as Damien, although I did not know he was going to choose that at the time that I wrote this. But between Damien and the dad, played by Martin Henderson, who was also in The Ring, in the truck scene where he stabs the dad in the neck with a screwdriver-like thingy while he stares into his eyes as his soul leaves his body, and then Cambodia by Kim Wilde plays on the radio. Partly because I'm a self-professed radio hog, and I totally understand having to have the perfect soundtrack while you do your dark bidding, and also because the scene was just so messed up that it almost just makes you giddy inside. And I know how messed up that makes me sound as a person. In the scene, Potato Sack Man throws a cinder block at the vehicle Mike and his son Hoyt, played by Louis Pullman, are in, and Mike very much so overreacts, crashing the vehicle into a trailer and inconveniently lodging a large piece of immovable wood into his own abdomen. In the words of Macho Man Randy Savage as Bonesaw from Spider-Man,
"You're going nowhere. I got you for 3 minutes."
The man in the mask then calmly enters the truck and searches through the radio for the perfect song to kill to, all while Mike is pleading in pain for his life and the life of his family. But he knows that's not going to do any good once the man shows up with a screwdriver-like thing he's holding in his hand. The man slowly stares at him before stabbing him in the neck and excitedly watching the life leave his body. Damien did a great job in this scene using his body and eye movements to really creep you the f*** out. Now, how about the stranger's meanest kill? Jesus H. Shuffin' stuff. Was that last one not the meanest one? No, it was not. That title belongs to the end of the original film where they murder Scott Speedman's James Hoyt character in front of the indecisive woman that he loves. That scene just makes my heart ache. Not only have we watched these two suffer at the hands of this unholy triumvirate throughout the night, torturing them mentally more than physically, tricking them into shooting their own best friend in the face, although that kind of just happened. I think Potato Sack Man wanted to axe that dude. And just being huge jerk-offs in general. Now we have to watch as all their attempts to escape were for naught. The morning light has arrived, but it provides no solace. The strangers stand before them and begin to remove their mask, which if you've ever seen a movie, you know that means you're about to die. If they aren't scared of showing you their face, it typically means that it's going to be the last face you see. And for James Quick Draw McGraw Hoyt, it was. This moment is breathtakingly messed up because we all know it's coming. They slowly pull out a large kitchen knife and reveal it to the two of them as they hold each other and cry, before he just unceremoniously begins stabbing him in the stomach as she's forced to watch. It's just brutal. That's nearly Funny Games levels of meanness. I mean, there's almost nothing in the world that's as mean as Funny Games, but that's in the same stratosphere. Honorable mention here goes to the Strangers Pray at Night scene where the mom, played by the beautiful Christina Hendricks, is killed in front of her daughter. As she helps Kinsey through the extremely inconveniently placed ceiling window in the camper, Dollface, played impressively by Gemma Ward, gets up on her real close from behind and begins to stab her in the back multiple times, even twisting the knife a little, just to be a dick. Ouch, ouch, you're on my hair. The scene is so heartbreaking because she was a good mom and her poor daughter has to watch her sacrifice herself for safety, and to such an unemotional psychopath in a mask to boot. I'm equally mad at this scene because she didn't even fight back. Grab that toilet seat and start swinging, lady. Well, now I'm just sad, so let's move on to the coolest moments in the Stranger's short filmography. I think we all know where we're going here, right? It's gotta be the pool scene in the Strangers Pray at Night. But first, I have to give a shout out to a personal favorite scene as well, when the man in the mask has been bested by Kinsey and has experienced not only a gnarly car wreck, but was lit on fire and exploded. First off, that look he gives her here is demonic as hell, but as Kinsey walks away like the badass she is, and you think the film is for sure toast, along with Potato Sack Head, the truck, fully engulfed in flames, starts driving towards her again and somehow, still alive, chases her to a bridge before removing a large shard of glass from his stomach and passing out for a moment. Look, I know this scene is probably some people's least favorite scene and elicits eye rolls and laughter from the audience. There's no way that that guy is still alive after all that. But again, I'm just a weirdo and I love the idea of them taking this ultra-realistic idea and throwing caution to the wind and throwing a surprise supernatural twist on it. Plus, it looked cool as f***. So did the follow-up scene, by the way, when he's Halloween 4-like on the back of the truck swinging his weapon at her. There was a very atmospheric and creepy moment, in my opinion, underratedly. But I digress. We all know the pool scene is the best. And what's that? My shirt's the best? This one? Here's how you can get your own.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
The neon palm tree lights illuminating the water is just a f***ing vibe. When you add to that the musical stylings of Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart, it just takes it off the top rope. But there's also a lot that happens story-wise here. We see the death of Pinup Girl when she comes up running at Luke and catches a well-earned golf club to the face before Luke goes full Zodiac killer on her, killing one of the strangers. We've never seen that before. And when the man in the mask shows up, Luke even talks a little shit. After all, they did just kill his parents. And Potato Sack Head goes full berserker mode with the axe. Luke has found his marbles and is full-on fighting the lead stranger for a while before a short chase scene takes place. The music even goes in and out as the two go in and out of the water before sadly Luke is dispatched with a knife in the back in the same way his mom was. Or was he? Spoiler alert, he lives. And so does this scene, in all our minds, forever. Here's the part in the video where I would usually talk about the villain's best quote, but that's a little hard to do with a trio of people who don't have much to say other than things like, "Is Tamara home?" And by the way, she still isn't home, and if she was home, I wouldn't tell her that you were asking for her because you seem like a needy person. But also some things like, "Because you were home," and "Why not?" or "You're gonna die" is thrown in there. They don't divulge a lot of information about themselves, which leads me to what's actually the most interesting thing about the strangers, and to me, that is how mysterious they are. What do we really know about these masked nut bars, other than the fact that they like to play with their food before they kill the living hell out of it?
And I don't.
The closest thing we've got to insight on them was when they ask one of these nosy little bastard kids if they can have one of their sinning pamphlets, and one of them reassures the other, it'll be easier next time. And that is it. These folks are very Michael Myers, pre-Runes, trailer parks, or sibling explanation attempts, and that we have no idea what makes them so evil or where that evil comes from. And I like it. Keep it that way. And we'll find out if they do just that in Rennie Harlan's upcoming trilogy, but for now, my friends, that is the best of the bad guys, the strangers. Thank you for spending your time with me today, you guys, and if you would, please subscribe and make sure you check out our other 2 videos in the Best of the Bad Guys series covering Freddy Krueger and Damien Thorne from the Omen franchise. And a special thanks to our friend Damien Maffei for being a part of today's video. You can see him right now, or hear him rather, in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game as Johnny Boy, or see him in movies like The Mutilator 2 as the character of Columbo. And you can see me heading to the store right now to purchase a Ring doorbell, a weapon, and some Skittles, because that just sounds good. I hope you guys have an amazing day.